Hello everyone, welcome back to another Keylink video. I'm Michael and today we're with Tutu Chocolates, with chocolatier Mill specifically. Hello Mill, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. We'll get things started. Tell us a bit about yourself and your chocolate journey so far.
Well, my chocolate journey has a little unconventional way about it. So when I was growing up, I didn't think I liked chocolate. I'd always tasted supermarket chocolate, and having more of a savoury palate, I always found it a little too sweet. But it wasn't until I got a job at my local chocolate shop, Tutu Chocolates, which is in Watlinson, Oxfordshire. And in order to sell the chocolates, I had to taste the chocolates. And I was a little bit apprehensive, knowing that I had more of a savoury palate. I didn't know how I would navigate around that. But from the first moment that I tasted high-end covered chocolate, I just felt so involved. So it wasn't long before I became the chocolatier's apprentice and I started making all the chocolates. And I learned all about the science and all the art, and I just became obsessed. Everyone who would come and meet me, I would go and talk all about chocolate and sort of say to them, I get it now. And so I went and got trained up, and I was at Tutu Chocolates for 5 years. And then I wanted to further my knowledge, so I worked across London. I went and I worked at Paula Young, Melt Chocolates, Brick Chocolates. I did courses across the UK, and when I was 21, I flew over to Las Vegas and I did a course with Milissa and some other incredible chocolatiers and chefs. And then when I was 23, so January 2023, the previous owner of Tutu Chocolates announced that she wanted to retire. And so she contacted me and she let me know that Tutu was up for sale. And I just had to jump at the opportunity. I was really fortunate that I managed to get a business loan. And so in January 23, I became the owner of Tutu Chocolates. I knew I'd left my heart there and I just had to jump at the opportunity. And the support has been fantastic, and I'm really, really grateful to everyone who has supported me along the way, all the customers, my family. The response was actually fantastic. When Zoe first announced, I even had customers who were knocking on my parents' door saying, does Milissa know we want Milissa? So I've had a unique way into chocolate, and I've had the blessing of having the full circle of being a chocolatier and just starting my journey at 16 to now I'm 25, and I've had the business for a year and a half.
I mean, it's an amazing story, isn't it? I mean, already so much experience, and as you said, seeing it from every single angle, training with some of the best, and to get to where you are now. I mean, when I was doing a bit of research before we started this interview, I noticed that actor Jeremy Irons presented the reopening of Tutu when you took over. I mean, what a statement of how you start to mean to go on. So what was that experience like? And what was it like having someone so prolific being there for your reopening and supporting you alongside all your fantastic customers, friends, family?
It meant an awful lot. It was a real delight to have Jeremy Irons reopen the chocolate shop. He's been a fan of Tutu Chocolates for quite a while. So Tutu Chocolates started in 2011, and he and his wife Janae Tusak, they especially love the salted caramel. And so when I wanted to do the reopening, I contacted Jeremy. I didn't expect him to remember me, but he did. And he even spoke about it when he reopened the shop. He went and sort of said about how he was honoured to be a part of the journey. And he's just such a really lovely guy, and it was really special.
Yeah. And a glowing endorsement too, of course, of Tutu Chocolates. But yeah, it's been nearly 2 years now of you owning Tutu. Obviously, you said January 2023. And you've been working with chocolate for nearly 10. What would you say have been like the major changes and struggles going from working for Tutu to owning the business and everything in between?
So when you're working with chocolates, you're focusing on perfecting your crafts, making them as perfect as artisan chocolates can be. And when I had to do the transition over to being a business owner, I had to take on, the role of managing all the finances, leading a team, going and making, important decisions. So I had all of that, but I also had to maintain all of the amount of chocolates needed to support all the customers, which were, from 11 years worth, and all the new ones that we were having come to the shop. So I went and I found that I had to sort of hit the ball running, really. And I think I had, a lot of pride in the business, and I want to say a big thank you to Zoe Haynes, who started the business, for making the business what it is. So I had such a big role to step up to. One of the sort of things that I wanted to do, which was really important to me, was I wanted to put my own stamp on the business. So I went and I rebranded after a couple months of owning the business. I rebranded and wanted to put my sort of style, which is more sort of modern with like a little unique twist on it, to make the image sort of pop a bit more. And so I had to be really careful with making sure that I adapt the business, but it was in the vision that was in alignment with the customer's perception of the brand. And also I wanted to go and put my own artistic flair on all the chocolates. I love sort of having the element of art and making it sort of an edible artwork. And so the balancing of that element with the operational demands, that was something that I had to learn as well. But it's been a really fantastic experience and I'm absolutely loving it. But those were sort of the main tricky parts of when I first took over the business. Those are the main focal points that I had to quickly adapt to.
Yeah, I think with the rebrand, it's nice to see, obviously, as you said, you've put your own creative spin and kind of modernised the brand, but it also seems like because you've got so much love and respect for the previous owners and stuff, that you've sort of like honoured them with keeping it the same brand, keeping it the same name, but just making it more you. And I think that's like really nice to see.
Thank you. Some of you may be thinking, why Tutu Chocolate? So Tutu Chocolates originally started as Tutu Delicious Chocolates, and it's just a play on words. So that's another point that I should add, is we changed from Tutu Delicious to Tutu Chocolate, and we had to sort of rebrand in a little way to sort of play on that word even further.
Going back a little bit then, you mentioned about perfecting your craft, working in London, training in Vegas, and all the things in between. As I said, like 10 years already of chocolate experience under your belt. What was it like working with some of the most prolific chocolatiers, some of the highest quality restaurants, all this kind of stuff? What was that experience like, and what skills do you think have been most important to come from your learning experience along the way?
So I've been very blessed that I was able to go and work under and have experience from a lot of fantastic chocolatiers and chefs. Each place that you go to is completely different in their dynamic, and there's so much that you can learn from all the different people out there. I think one of the biggest things that I learned was actually, obviously, my trade and my love for the chocolate, but was actually a lot of self-confidence. And so with chocolate, there's so many different things that you can do with it. And like I had work experience with the Fat Duck, with Heston Blumenthal, and the way he creates the plates and the the full show of his food is incredible. So I've been inspired in multiple different ways. I think one of the best courses that I went on was with Milissa. And when she walked in, she straight away said to all of us, you're all equal, you're all in this together. And I love that, in the sense of, even with having a business, you always think, there's a lot of competition out there, but there's so many customers, there's so many different ways that you can go with how you make your products and the type of customers that you attract. So it was really lovely that when I went on the course with Miss Cooper, that I actually made some really good friends out there, and we all went and just had that freedom to just explore, and having that confidence to just experiment and do lots of different things really helped me with then understanding my chocolate style and what I wanted to bring forward with Tutu.
I think it's interesting you should say that, because we've met a couple of times in person before, the last time being at the Junior Chocolate Masters.
Yes, incredible.
So last time we met at the Junior Chocolate Masters, and we got loads of opportunity to talk to different chocolatiers, different types of chocolatiers with different customer bases. So it's interesting that you say that, because you can really see how you can make it your own and make your own chocolate business in the direction that you want to take it. But obviously, as you said, people have different starting points with chocolate. So for someone that might not be at the level to, fully explore the world, go into different chocolate courses and shadowing different chefs, what advice would you give to them for someone just starting out and learning the craft?
Just jump at the opportunity to have fun with it. There's so much fun to be had with chocolate. Chocolate is sort of like magic. It knows your feelings. You've got to be in a good mood, and if you have fun with it, you're just going to learn it even further. I think one of the things that really helped me is that I just got so obsessed with all the science behind it. I remember when I had my first course, that was with Beverly Dunkley at the Chocolate Academy with the Calabar team. And I sort of sat down with her and I sort of said, tell me more about the science. What's happening with these molecular structures? Like, how is there so much science involved with the food? And, I think from going and doing the courses, or even going to these events where you can meet other people, it's so inspiring, because as we just said, everyone has a different way of working with chocolate and different experiences, and there's so much you can get from each other. So I'd say jump at the opportunities.
I mean, we've talked a lot about your learning and development, and also the business side of things. But I'd like to know a little bit more about your actual chocolatiering stuff. So could you tell us a bit about your chocolatiering style, and kind of what chocolates do you like to make? What kind of techniques do you use? And just give us a bit of a broad view on that, really.
Yes, I make a wide variety of different chocolates. So I make lots of fresh truffles using caramels, pâte de fruits, and ganaches. I like sort of playing around with traditional, but modern twist on the chocolate. So I make chocolates such as like a salted caramel and rosemary. My customers, they love quite sort of acidic and fruity, some alcoholic, sort of traditional. So I like to really, as I said, have fun and sort of throw out the different flavor combinations and sort of see what the customer response is. With the chocolates, I also make single origin chocolate bars. I am making sort of shards of chocolate, so slabs with different inclusions inside. One of the latest shards that I have is a ginger and pistachio in the caramel chocolate, which works really lovely because you have the warm earthiness with the caramel buttery undertones. And I like having fun with novelty chocolates as well. So making shoes and handbags and teddy bears, doing bespoke chocolate. So I like experimenting with uh, with my chocolate. So I do a lot of bespoke chocolates, and one of the latest chocolates that I made was actually a movable chocolate card. So I had to create chocolate hinges and make it so they open like a card with the personalized message inside. So we do all sorts of different types of chocolate, but my sort of style is sort of modern with the little twist. I use the traditional ways of tempering chocolate. So I mainly temper my chocolate on the marble by hand. Sometimes I do a bit of seeding. I do have a sell-me machine, so I do some enrobing as well with like things like candied orange, and I make brownies and Florentines and do a little bit of spray gunning. I'd like to do some more, but with the shop, we are a very small shop in Watlington, and I make everything on site as well as in the shop. So there's some restrictions I have at current with that.
Of course. I mean, last time we saw you at the Junior Chocolate Masters, you kindly gave me some chocolates to take back to the rest of the Keeling team. And I was lucky enough to at least get one of them, because they they were like vultures around me after when I brought them back. But I was lucky enough to try the chai tea. It was like the sculpture head one, and that was lovely. But I really liked the design of it, and it was kind of like from what I remember, it had the gold sort of dust over the top of the chocolates, and then with the chai in the middle, it was, as you said, like that combination of traditional chocolates with a modern twist, and I thought that was really nice. So very much rave reviews from Keeling to Tutu Chocolates.
I appreciate your support.
So yeah, as you said, there is that kind of modern and sort of traditional take on chocolate work and stuff. With that being said, what is the process for like developing new chocolates, and how do you come up with your, first of all, concepts, but then also your flavors and your texture profiles?
So creating new chocolates are always a lot of fun. And so what I like to do is I like to sort of just pick a flavor that I've either felt inspired from, tasting recently at like a restaurant, or just, just because I fancied it. So if I fancied, say, coconut, I would go and I would just taste it to begin with, and I would let colors and flavors pop into my mind. And so I go the really sort of natural way of just letting my sort of senses tell me what to do next. So then when I come up with sort of what flavors pop into my mind, or the colors associated with whether I want to go more citrusy toned, or bring out more of like a kick to the ingredient, and then get those ingredients and then taste them with the coconut, for example. Then I choose the best flavors, and I make like a 10% recipe. So I'll have the ratio of like 10% of like a basic ganache, and I will go and put all the ingredients inside of the cream. And I usually use either a milk chocolate or white chocolate for the filling, because I find that the dark chocolate can sometimes be a bit too overpowering for inside, but it's brilliant to have a dark chocolate or a milk chocolate more on the outside. With having, coverage of chocolate, you can really get lots of rich and complex flavors that come out of the dark chocolate, or the higher percentages, so even with the milk chocolate. So I find that it adds a really good complement to the flavor. So I add that sort of at the end. But I'll go and I'll have like the white chocolate, milk chocolate base with the flavor, with those ingredients, and create the recipe, and then pick the chocolates of which I want to sort of shell it in, and that could bring out more of that flavor, or go and add more of an opposing flavor, so it's got that contrast. And then once I'm happy with that, I then will then go and edit the recipe. And just to make it so that it's more shelf life stable, I'll consider what textures I want to add into it. The design, I will use the colors that initially pop into my head to design it and like put those colors in. And then, I'll just edit it slightly just to make sure that it has a long enough shelf life for what I need it to have, but not compromising on the flavor.
I mean, it sounds like first and foremost it is that, you know, the taste, the idea, the inspiration, and then really building everything around that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to work naturally. And so I don't necessarily sort of go forward and have a list of flavors that I think will work already. I just try and let it come to me and then just sort of organically work in that way.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you know, you were very curious about the science and like the molecular stuff behind it and all that kind of stuff. When it comes to creating new chocolate flavors and profiles and stuff, would you say it's helped you massively or not much to have that science behind you to know what might work, what might not, what will naturally have a better shelf life, all that kind of stuff?
Um, that's a very good question. So, with regards to understanding the food science, that obviously has helped with the shelf lives. Like, especially with ganaches or truffles, you need to make sure that you know your water level activity, and you've got to know the other factors of like how you're storing it and everything to make sure you get the shelf life of what you need. So that's definitely has helped. But with regards to the creating the flavor, um, no, I like sort of having, I think with your ingredients, especially at Tutu, we want to have the highest quality chocolate and ingredients. We care a lot about where we get our chocolate from, who our suppliers are. That's a really big thing to us. So it's the quality of the ingredients they sing. So we don't want to be putting lots of art, like we don't put artificial flavors or additives into it. We try and have it as natural. And sometimes I do go and have some seasonal chocolate. So I get some flavors that are local, and then I'll make my chocolates sort of seasonal, which is quite nice.
So yeah, as you said, then I noticed on your website as well that you pride yourself on your like high percent cocoa chocolate, which is what you typically use. So talk to us about your kind of choice of chocolates. As you mentioned earlier, that you have a lot of pride in your sustainability as well as your quality too. So yeah, what kind of chocolates does Tutu use, and kind of what's your favourite one to use right now?
So it's a very good question. With Tutu Chocolates, we want to get chocolates that we know that the farmers are being looked after. We want to get it as direct from the farmers as we can, and we want to make sure that the farmers are being looked after. There's good agricultural practices, and that the quality is never compromised. We want to go and use the highest quality chocolate for multiple reasons, which include the fact that chocolate has more flavor notes than wine. It's so complex and rich, and one of the things that I love about chocolate, especially like with our single origin chocolates, is that chocolate's like a passport. You can travel like a culinary passport. You can travel and taste in your living room. So there's so much behind it with the flavors that you can bring out, but also with the memories that are attached to it. With our chocolates, we want to support everyone along the way. So even our packaging is biodegradable or recyclable. So the sustainability, the quality that we provide our customers with is always of the utmost important factor to us, and these of which I get my chocolate from. So the Kookaburra, the Verona, those are some of our top chocolate suppliers where we get them from your lovely selves. And so we're very proud to use their chocolates and then create our chocolates from there.
It's interesting what you're saying about the culinary passport. I think I've done a few chocolate tasting sessions myself, and tasting a Madagascan or a Ghanaian perhaps and stuff. You can really taste the difference, or even though there's difference in two chocolates from the same place, you can still see the thing that kind of ties them together almost. So it sounds like you have quite a refined palate for that kind of stuff.
Well, market research, tasting lots of chocolates is the perk of the job, really.
Exactly. Speaking of your chocolates then, I noticed that you recently launched your single origin bars. And similar to the kind of the rebrand and stuff, it's very Tutu Chocolates, the bar, from the packaging to the bar itself. And you used custom molds for the bars. How did you find using them, and how did you make them, and what do you think the benefits are of having this personalised touch?
So I have the chocolate bar and the mold here. So when I rebranded, it was really important to me that I made an icon that was recognisable, that would stand out. So that's where I got the TUTU, which is obviously Tutu. And the chocolate bar itself has got the icon on. And I wanted to have the personal chocolate bar and the packaging. Packaging obviously being recyclable and biodegradable, and the chocolate bar, I went and had the vision of creating it from the moment I designed the icon. So I've been very excited to bring these out and actually let my customers explore more of the single origin chocolate, all of the culinary passport that you can have chocolate. I was really fortunate that I had a friend who went and actually had a wax press machine. And so I went and I got a 3D design made up of the TETU, and then we used his machine to actually press the icon to then get the molds made up. That was quite a cost-effective way of making the molds, and they work quite nicely. I think I will eventually go to having polycarbonate ones, but for now this works perfectly. I had the help from some of my ex-teachers actually. So when I was at school, I loved woodwork, and so they helped me with getting the chocolate bars made as well, which was really lovely. I'm really excited about actually having the chocolate bars, and this is something I'm just going to grow upon. The response has been fantastic.
Here at Keelink, we also supply the Meiku press molds, the vacuum molds. And I've had a bit of a play around with them myself, and it's definitely one of those you kind of learn along the way of what you can use and what you can't. But the Tutu molds that you've got for those bars look like they've come out fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very pleased. Yeah.
I will just mention that we start this call just after 3:30 on a Wednesday, because you mentioned to me before that it's a tradition in Wadlington, in Oxfordshire, that it's traditional to finish at 3:30, I think you said, for businesses to close. So how does your location lend itself to running a chocolate shop? And how does it compare to working in the likes of London or Vegas or these other big cities?
Watlington is my hometown, and so for me, there's no other place that would be perfect for having the shop. Watlington has such a fantastic community, and from having my own business, I've had the privilege of finding even more support and love in the community than ever before. In Watlington, we have a unique high street because we're all bespoke, bougie boutique shops. There's only 2 shops that aren't independently run.
So in Watlington, there's the fantastic support of us all being sort of Arsene. We have quite a well known foodie element and artistic element. And also we also had quite, so I was 23 when I purchased my business, but we also had a baker in Watlington. She was, I think she was 16 or 18. And then one of my good friends, Leah, she also opened up a shop when she was 22. And so there's quite a lot of us youngsters here as well, which is really sort of special because we're all in it together and we all help each other, and so the support's there. In the surrounding areas, we have lots of vineyards as well, so it's got quite a nice sort of drive to coming here to get seeing all your lovely shopping, but also we're in an area of natural, like outsiding beauty. And we're at the bottom of the Watlington High Street, so it's a nice sort of strip of shops here. With the pace of life is slightly sort of slower than with London, but it means that I can actually get to know my customers better. And so I have a really good sort of customer relationship where I can sort of, they can see me making the chocolates, and I can have a good conversation. I can make it personal. So that's listed that we do lots of bespoke chocolates, which is brilliant. But we are sort of a hidden gem, but also we get lots of films being made here. So we even had like Midsummer Murders, we're quite well known for having filmed in the town. And we just had one with Hugh Jackman as well. So that's always exciting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I saw some of the social media clips and it seems like it's always sunset round Wadlington. Like just the way the light falls everywhere, it's very picturesque. But it's not just to individual customers you sell to, is it? It's also, you've got a lot of corporate clients, you do events and stuff like that. So could you tell us a bit about that side of the business too?
So I'm very proud to be in Watlington. It's a fantastic area, but we have lots of lovely businesses that I love to do collaborations with locally. I love being as creative as I said before. So when I get to have an opportunity to work with some hotels, I love to go and make them bespoke for them. I love to go and sort of wrap my mind into their brand and sort of come up with a perfect collaboration that is clearly Tutu, but complements and stands out for them as a brand. So I do lots of I make lots of chocolates for hotels in particular, and vineyards as well. So I make use of the beautiful surrounding areas in the local vineyards, and I love pairing my chocolates with something alcoholic, a little kick as well.
Yeah. What kind of alcohol are we talking? What have you been pairing them with?
I have managed to come up with a recipe that actually has their actual sparkling wine inside. It's one that I make fresh and then they eat on the day. But yeah, you can really get their wine in the chocolate.
Yeah, that sounds tasty. I wouldn't mind trying some myself, actually. So obviously, we've talked a lot about the chocolates in terms of bars and bonbons. And I've kind of skipped over slightly deliberately to come back to this at the end. But when you talked about the book with the chocolate hinges, all that's very fascinating. And seeing that at the Chocolate Masters as well, seeing these incredible sculptures. We also talked about there how you're getting into sculpture work yourself. And I noticed, I think you put on social media not too long ago that like your most recent one was maybe like your third chocolate sculpture, perhaps. And you really wouldn't believe it from the quality of your sculpture so far.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But how would you say that sculpting compares to standard chocolate work? How are you finding the learning process, and sort of where do you see yourself at in your sculpting journey, and where would you like to take it?
Well, I obviously took a lot of inspiration from the World and Junior Chocolate Masters. It's incredible what they were able to create. I've only made 3 sculptures. I have recently made a red kite, which is quite suiting for Watlington. And I think sculpturing is a completely different way of playing around with chocolate. So you have to think of it in a completely different way of how to balance the structure, the way that you design it and work with it is in a completely different way. So it's a big learning curve, but it's a lot of fun. So with the red kite that I've made, I didn't want to add any structure that wasn't chocolate inside of it. So I had to really think about how I could get it to hold up its own wings without breaking. And I did have a nervous moment where I'd gone and I started with an Easter egg. I made the video on Instagram of sort of how I made it, but I started with an Easter egg, and then I'd sculpted the sort of the face and the sort of part of the body. And I was really quite happy with how that turned out because I didn't really know. But I wanted to, have an experiment and see, and it worked. And I thought, okay. So now I need to make sure that I've made the egg and all the chocolate thick enough so that when I carve in 2 holes in the side of it, that it's not just going to crumble. So I had luckily calculated to have the right thickness that could then hold the wings. So then I then slotted in the wing slightly to sort of get it so that it supported itself but didn't have any structure. So it's a lot of fun playing around with chocolate and gravity. And yeah, the main thing that you have to do with the sculpturing is make it in the dark chocolate as well, because that has a more of a strength to it than a milk or a white. So it was a lot of playing around, having fun. Previously, in a previous workplace, I made these beautiful marble hanging spheres that were hanging. We made it for the festival Speed, and they were capturing the light. We did like 360, and there was like in a wave movement. That was really cool. But that, again, different type of sculpturing. And then I went and last year I made a sculpture that was an octopus, but I had to make it upside down because I didn't want it to support itself just on the legs. Yeah. So I put it in a position that you don't usually get octopuses in. And then the first sculpture that I made was actually just on a course, which was Frankfurt, and that was brilliant because we replicated his winning sculpture for the World Chocolate Masters, and so we did this beautiful skull, and that was actually Las Vegas when I did the course with Milissa Cooper. Had 2 days of sculpturing with him, which was incredible.
So finally, to sort of like round this up then, and I imagine there's a lot of things that you probably won't be able to tell us, but is there anything that you can share with us about the future of Tutu, where you're going, what's in the pipeline, what's coming up, anything like that?
Well, I do like to keep people on their toes, but yeah, there's lots of exciting things. I don't know where I would start to tell you. Where do I start? What do I say? Well, I think I will leave you in suspense and say you just gotta follow my journey, please. And yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, all of that is fantastic. It's great to hear a little bit more about Tutu. I mean, like I said, we've kind of crossed paths a little bit before, but to really deep dive into how Tutu operates, your personal inspirations, and just your journey so far has been really interesting. And I'm sure to a lot of customers as well, they can take a lot of inspiration in how your journey is progressing, how theirs can as well. So I will thank you, Milissa, for coming and joining us today.
Thank you so much. And I do want to say a big thank you to all of you at Keylink, because as I mentioned before, it's important where you get your chocolates from. The suppliers mean everything. And so having you guys as my supplier, who you've helped me so much and supported me. I really appreciate everything that you do, and thank you so much for having me with this interview.
Well, I'll speak on behalf of Keylink, but I'll say we're flattered. Thank you for the kind words. So if you do want to check out some of Melissa's chocolates, if you want to buy from them, please go to tutuchocolates.co.uk, check them out on Instagram, and yeah, just follow Melissa's journey. But yeah, for now, that's all from me and Tutu Chocolates. Thank you everyone for watching or listening.